Hello and welcome to how I play my level 70 mage. So let's just jump right into it here. This builds upon the level 65 video of the same title from a little while ago. But the spells have changed slightly, so our main nuke is a Spear of Ro, doing 3100 damage, and it crits for 11,000. 11,000 damage, so it's pretty nice. And I do have Fickle Fire here because I was testing some things to see if it would be worth it right now. If I was not multi-binding, this would be worth it to cast. Now later on, there is some spell recast delays that allow you to cast other spells, but right now it's pretty much impossible to cast more than one fire nuke in a multi-bind situation, so that's how we're playing. But Fickle Fire, if it was able to be used, sometimes it will greatly increase the damage of our next spell. You can see here we got the proc right there, Flames of Power, which then if we were to cast Spear Row, if you weren't multi-boxing like I am, you'll see here like how much extra damage it does. So 4,900 versus 3,200 in a non-crit. That's insane. You would be wanting to do Fickle Fire until you get what you want on the Flames of Power there, right? So Fickle Fire, didn't get it. Now Fickle Fire on its own does, respectable damage. But, it just, it's just harder to do. Later on, these get delays on recasting them to make that easier. So here it's not really proccing as much as I would like at the moment. Anyway, go to the next one. Next up, we have Raging Servant, our first really good swarm pet. Now, if we just cast this here, right? Raging Servant creates a little gargoyle, goes and does damage, right? He's hitting for like 400, 500 damage, right? 512 seems to be his hit. So he does, significant amount of damage in this short amount of time he's out. Cast that on cooldown. Later on, we go here to Conjurer's Synergy. The Servant line becomes our synergy spell that we want to cast at all times. So something to get used to now. Next up, I have Mass Mod Rods. So this is just so that I can get mod rods for all my guys. And do as much damage as possible, honestly, because this is constantly returning mana via the mod rod, so useful. Then I have Burning Aura. So this is a short duration buff that I put on the tank that will cause the flames to lash out and attack. So every time, I believe it's every time he gets hit, it will do damage. I don't know exactly how it works, but there is a... Where is he at? He's right here. There is a 48 charges, and it's a 5-minute duration. So I cast it. It's my short duration buff. It's in that macro there to cast it on demand. And then I have Pryland Skin, which is just another damage shield. But unlike the other damage shields, this one is a song spell, which does extremely high amounts of damage. I think that at this level it's doing like 500 or 600 per hit, and I have four charges of that. So if I get hit 4 times, those are massive things, and that synergizes with the Shadow Knight's ability. Where is that here? It's like something hatred, right? Intense hatred increases the effects of damage shields. So as we level up, that gets stronger and stronger. And so keeping it on from the mage is definitely worth doing. Next up, I have Child of Water, which I currently use a water pet. At this level, the pets come fully geared in armor. I am giving the pet Summoned Daggers of the Deep, which does a 270 proc. I also gave the pet the Muzzle of Mardu for 11% haste. And I gave it a waste item. I just don't see it. There it is right here. Summon Crystal Belt, which just gives him more stats. So everything else, the pet kind of just comes pre-equipped with when you summon it, which is nice. But throwing some weapons on there, get a little extra proc damage. Probably can't hurt at this point, but it's probably DPS loss for it to proc as it is at the higher levels. And then I have Call a Hero, which just lets me summon my characters to wherever I'm at. I keep it memorized at all times. The only time I won't memorize it is when I get the group Call a Hero spell, which will replace it. And I'll never use the single target one again. And then at the end here, I have Elemental Simulacrum, which is a mana regen buff that kind of sacrifices a little health out of the pet. We target him and cast it, right? I think it takes him down to like here. Close enough, but you can see there with all the stuff going on, he automatically regenerated up in one tick. So it's insane. Other spells I cast, Wrath Strength, which is right here. Doesn't really show what it does it? Useless. But if we go here to Pet Miss Buffs Wrath Strength and memorize it, augments your pet's strength with the Wrath, which will increase their melee damage by 10%. It'll also affect nearby pets. What? So I'm running 2 mages, so they have that at all times, right? Then I have a Beast Lord, a Shaman, and a Shadow Knight, all getting 10% extra damage just because the mage showed up to the party, right? So it's pretty nice. Nice little buff there. And then I have a macro to do the current level Circle of the Fireskin, which is just a group damage shield. And just whatever it is. I didn't need to keep it memorized at all times anymore. Now I just have it when I do it. Next up, Ice Flame Guard, which is another pet buff. Cloaks your pet in Ice Flame Guard, which causes damage to any creature that strikes it in melee combat, granting it a chance to strike the enemies with fire. The combat effect will also cause your pet to be cloaked in a brief protective aura. So at the moment, I'm not running Pet Taunt on, but when I do, this starts becoming a really nice thing to have. And I'm just getting used to keeping it on the pet at all times. 55-minute duration, so it's not like I have to cast it very often. The next up, Burnout 5, which is just the current level Burnout, is the Pet Haste. Increases attack speed, armor, and strength of the pet. So it's very nice to have going there. Companion's Tether, what is that? Gravitates a pet to within 25 feet of its owner. What? Alright, I don't even know what that is. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. But we'll keep going here. So that's all the spells that I use on a pretty more normal basis. This character is multi-bound on 4 and 5. So when I push 4 and 5, it does all these different abilities. Now, if we take a look at here, my assist is X target 19, which is the assist target. Pet Swarm, so that swarming pet will switch targets. Pet Attack, my pet will switch targets. And then I'll use the Mod Rod if I have one available. So that's the same if I hit 4 or 5, that'll do that. Which then goes into Host of Elements. So this summons a swarm of 3 level 70 pets to attack the target. So it's another swarm pet. So that's, we have 1 plus the swarm pet, that's 2 plus 3 more, that's 5 pets. Have at all times, pretty much just always doing damage. And then next in the multi-bind is Raging Servant, followed by Spiro Row, our main nuke we have going here. Other things I have in the multi-bind is Servant of Row, summons a level 71 fire elemental that just attacks the target constantly for 45 seconds, doing 200 or 2500 damage, so it's pretty nice. And then I have Companion Shielding, which when activated heals the pet for 8,000, causes it to shield you from 50% of incoming melee damage, and triggers Companion's Tether. Oh, so that's where that's where they come from. So this is just a pet defensive that I just pretty much use on cooldown. Companion's Necessity. This one summons a level 81 pet that will taunt anything around. So this is kind of just, a way to take some of the pressure off the Shadow Knight. It does area taunt and all that kind of stuff too, to just draw attention to itself, which is kind of nice when you're trying to, break something, do something hard. It takes a little of that initial pressure off because the pets are jumping in there. And eventually I'll have pet taunt on for both the mage pets. I'll switch to air elementals and I'll do that, and it'll make this group a lot more durable when it comes to harder content, but the shaman just does not have the AoE healing yet that a cleric would, so I haven't done it yet. Turn summon. This just summon some damage to summon mobs. In the multi-bind, it doesn't really matter because if the mob is summoned, it will take damage. If it's not, it does nothing. So it's really nice to have there. That's pretty much everything here on this hotbar. Like, nothing's changed since the level 65 video and so on and so on. Nothing's really changed over here. We did pick up Silent Casting at level 70. This is a aggro reduction spell that will be it's in the burn here, right? So when we get all of our abilities unlocked, I'll actually start using the burns and I'll talk about those more, but right now it's just Silent Casting and Heart of Skyfire. Heart of Skyfire just increases our spell damage for a little bit of time. Really nice spell if you're trying to burn. Definitely, it's number 2 in my burn right after Silent Casting, so we'll get to that when we get to that. And then I have my earring for shrinking my pet, and my robe. I don't think that robe is actually useful anymore. Yeah, that robe's not useful anymore. Throw that away. There we go. Let's see. That's pretty much it on this bar. There's a few other things here and there, but they're not important. I do have all these hotkeys for memorizing spells and stuff. That's just insanely useful to me. But that's about it for the mage. Like, if we kind of go over here, where's the pet? There he is. Let's send him in. If we look at other melee here, we kind of see, like, this pet is pretty crazy, right? He's doing 240, 123, 123. 123, he's missing a lot. 123, 240 crits. So, I mean, he's doing pretty good damage. And he backstabs for 375. So, positional, like, I don't like the positional pets because in a multi-box situation, it's hard for me to position pets. In all honesty, it's difficult. Now, I could spend the effort and do it, but for the most part, it is difficult to do that. So I prefer the air pet because the air pet, 1, stuns, 2, does a stun proc, right? It's more durable than the water pet. It's not as durable as the earth pet, but in most situations, it can tank for a few seconds if need be. And as the shaman gets more and more AoE healing spells going and stuff like that, the issue of the pet drawing aggro won't be a thing, and I will be able to use air pets a lot more with taunt on, so it'll take a lot of the pressure off my Shadow Knight and focus it on, pets that don't matter if they live or die, right? So that'll be nice to happen when it happens, and I'll have 2 air pets with all their goodies. I'll probably even give them taunting weapons just to have fun, and that'll allow me to pull with the Shadow Knight and then have the mage pets pretty much tank the mob, right? While the Shadow Knight goes and does something else, like if I decide to go pull while they're just fighting, and then I can just keep multi-bind spamming nuke and stuff like that. So it just depends how I decide to play that. later on. But for the most part, that is the Mage. Not much to do. Later on, we'll get a better, more detailed rotation, if you will. Right now, it's kind of limited, and it's just that without a delay on that one spell, it's impossible to multi-bind it. But that's it. That's the 70 Mage. Thank you very much for watching, and please have a fantastic day.